Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and welcome back to another rapid fire critique where I take 10 of your best photos and do what with them? I give them a critiquey McCritiquerson. Now, if you'd like to submit your images, you have to pay attention to my social media, most likely on Instagram at Jared Polin or on Facebook, FroKnowsPhoto, for when I say, hey guys, submit your best 10 images via a link for Flickr, and then I randomly pick those ones to do critiques of the ones that I want to do. So right here we've got Jimmy Howard, who's got a pro account. I got a pro account on Flickr. Flickr's dead, by the way, but I still like it for doing these critiques because it can show me the metadata, and you can put your images here, and it's free, so it's easy to use. Let's jump in and see what this person's shooting with. Jimmy Howard, wolves in wild Ireland, Donegal. Anyway, Nikon Z50, with a 50-250 kit lens. This one was shot at 640 ISO, 1/250th at 5.6. I love the Z50. I think the Z50 is one of the best crop sensor cameras that I've ever used. This is interesting because look at these things. They're like, I want to eat you. Hurrah, I'm gonna eat you. Or are they like, hurrah, will you pet me, please? I know I look like a scary wolf, but I'm really not scary. I think it did a fantastic freaking job with this shot, nice and sharp. My only thing is, I love seeing this wolf out here in the background. It almost looks fake, but cutting the ass off of this one where you did, I just feel like it could have been tighter. Or get all of their feet in there and go a little wider. What were we at? We were at 170 millimeters. So it's close. Like, I like where their heads are, but I think that we could have come in tighter. I think we could have done, because you don't need much of the context of where they are, but look at this, a headshot like this would be cool. And then going a little wider. See, when you're using what is this thing? What is the zoom on that? A 50-250, you're giving yourself a lot of options because you could shoot at 50, you can then punch in further to 100, you could punch in further to 150, you could punch in out to 250. So you're giving yourself a lot to play with without having to crop, and that's why I promote not cropping, is because if you have the reach and the ability, you get that first shot. You get that first shot that you want with the composition you want, and then you tweak closer, wider, closer, tighter, middle. That way you have a lot more to choose from when you have the time to do that. That's why I recommend getting that first shot first, because you get that, and then if you have more time, you get the others. So this is gorgeous. I think the settings are great. I think the sharpness and focus is awesome. Part of that's the 5.6. I just think we could work on the composition just a little bit. This is interesting as well. This one is done with the 50-250 again, shot at 5.6, 140, which means you're shooting auto ISO, which I am totally anti-auto ISO because it is going to burn you, in my opinion, more oftentimes than help you. This is a landscape situation. You set the camera. You don't need to worry about the light shifting on you super quick, or where you're shooting. The only time that I've been burned with, I guess, regular ISO, where auto ISO would have come in handy, is in a situation where I was photographing a bird in a shaded area under the trees, and then it freaking stabbed a fish with its beak and then flew away into the daylight, and my exposure was super duper off. That's where auto ISO would have come in handy, and maybe aperture priority would have been better in that situation for me, shooting nature. That was with the D850, that was a blue heron, and that was at Longwood Gardens. We probably have a picture of it getting stabbed. But I like this photo. I love the flatness of it. What are we at? We're at 135 millimeters, and everything is in focus from front to back. It's like, it looks like a drawing. It really does. The composition is fantastic. I don't know what the hell this is. It says danger, but it looks fine to me. The composition is cool. I love the flatness of this. Ooh, there's a person back there. There's whatever that yellow thing sign says. But I love this hill with the car. And I love how flat everything looks. And then you've got the mountains in a distance. I kind of like this photo. I think it also could have looked cool in this composition too, you know, just a little bit, like something different. So just think about that, because landscapes you have a lot more time to work with. This says, this is with the 18-200, Nikon D500, so it's a little older. Molly Malone statue in Dublin. Holy massive breasts, to put it bluntly. Look at this. Can we zoom in anymore? who molded this statue? Is that what she really looked like? I demand to see a photo to see, I need to see her Instagram to see if this was legitimate. All right, what are we at here now that we got that out of the way? We're at 22 millimeters, 3.8. So are we thrown off by this map? Are we thrown off by this red thing in the background? Are we thrown off by her breasts? The answer is yes, because it's a statue, but holy. Anyway, would we want to see more context in this photo for the location? We could come in tighter and get a tighter shot of her, the statue, with the background blown out. This is where you break out one of those 50 millimeters or a 35 1.8 or an adapted older 35 1.8 onto this camera. Oh, sorry, you don't need to adapt it. It's a D500. So maybe this is all you had. But in a situation like this, if you can isolate the subject a little more with the aperture, then you could make this the sign, the map, blow out a little more and not be so prevalent in the image. It would be out of focus and draw you more into the subject. This red sign in the background is throwing me off as well. This is a type of image where I would rather want to see you establish the scene. Get me that wider shot. Go to it's a crop sensor, so 35 millimeter equivalent. Go wider, step back, get the castle or whatever this is, get the environment, get the scene, get the subject. That would help tell a better story, I think, in my opinion. Moving on, what do we have here? We've got Rose of Tralee Parade, Co-Kerry Ireland. Ireland. Let's see, D700, wow, you've had a little bit of everything. 70-200 2.8, 1/250th at ISO 250, which means, again, auto ISO, because I don't think you can get to 250 by yourself, or maybe you can. I like the isolation here. This is great. We've got nice on the subject, 70-200 drawn in. It says Weltmeister. She's playing the accordion. I think that looks good. Great isolation. I don't mind that you cut off the, oh, you didn't cut off the feather from the top. Oh, screw you, Flickr, for not showing the entire image full screen right here. Oh, I apologize to Flickr. This was a human error of my doing. I apologize. I just had to scroll up just a little bit. Yeah, I think this one looks pretty good. Colors look good. Isolation looks good. I'm not gonna complain that there's an out of focus arm here. This is on the street. I think if anything, I would have just composed slightly more, moved her over just a little bit, but that's nitpicking. But that's what a critique is all about. I think this is a good photo. It establishes the scene. You know they're going down the street. There's other marching band people in the back. There's other people out of focus. They took a two-dimensional thing, a medium of photography, three-dimensional, draw you into the subject. Really nice job. This is one of those street photos that's fine. Let's see. Cork Pride, Ireland, 70-200 2.8 again. So we don't know that this is Cork Pride Ireland, and this is one of the things that I say in all of my critiques to people, and it's just something to take home. I would have no idea that this was Cork Pride Ireland, you know, the parade. I would have no idea by just looking at a headshot like this. My recommendation in a lot of situations is if you're at the Eiffel Tower, I say it a million times, and you do a tight headshot like this, but you can't tell you're at the Eiffel Tower, you might as well have been in your basement. So if we don't have a story to establish the scene, and I'm not saying this photographer doesn't because I only have 10 images, but establish the scene. Give me a wide, full body of the person at the parade with other people going out of focus. Or maybe they're blurring because you're shooting it at a slower shutter speed. What are we at here? We're at 1/640th. But if the parade and people are going by, you tell the subject, all right, I need you to stand still and smile because I'm gonna do a slow shutter speed so people blur it like 1/10 of a second handheld. That would then establish the scene, then you can move in tighter and get that headshot. So you get the headshot and the scene establishing image. I think that would be fine. So that's what I would do in the situation. Is this fine? Yeah, it's a headshot. It's fine. It's fine. It's a character, and that's what you can capture out at the Pride Parade, and that's what you're looking for. Now, let me say this. If you're looking to get a mentorship call with me, or you want to get a rapid fire critique or the one-on-one mentorship, go to FroKnowsPhoto.com/mentorship right now, because I am finally offering live one-on-one 45-minute Zoom mentorships where I go over 100 of your photos, answer all of your questions, look at your websites, whatever you want live with you to be able to tell me what you were thinking in the image and to get live feedback, and also a different option for rapid fire critiques that are 15 minutes recorded, where you send me up to, I think, 75 images, and I work my way through them and give you a critiquing critiquers in that way. The reason I'm doing this is a lot of people ask for it, and I get so many of these ones that people want for free, which is fine, but I can only do so many of them, and this is the option that's available. Also, even if you don't want to pick something up, there is a full one-on-one mentorship live 45-minute call that's an hour and 14 minutes long, and there is a rapid fire critique that's a 15-minute rapid fire critique, and that video goes for 25 minutes and 12 seconds. Those are on the site. You can hear testimonials, read testimonials, and you can then go ahead and reserve your spot. That's my plug. That's my pitch. If you want to do that, it's over there at FroKnowsPhoto.com/mentorship. Let's move on to the next image. Same thing applies. I mean, this is fantastic. Just the clothing and the paint on the face and everything that they did here. 275 millimeters. The same thing applies. Establish the scene. Yeah, it's a tight picture of somebody at the parade. So in a photo story, how I would do it, I would establish the scene of the parade. Boom. Then I'd come in and I'd get those tight headshots to show the interesting people at the parade. I would get those full body shots, and then I would just do that for as many people as possible, and that would tell the story. But if it's just tight headshot, tight headshot, tight headshot, it's not gonna establish the scene at all. And so it's good, but we want to establish the scene more for a photo story. Same thing, I mean, this is fine, but this is definitely one that needs to be wider. There's no reason to be at 150 for this. I think we could be wider to show what's going on around. We don't have any idea that this is a parade. We just have a person right here, and you stole their photo from a distance, which is fine. They look fine. The exposure looks fine. I would probably brighten it up just a little bit and punch it up a little bit more, but I would go a little wider to establish a little bit more of the scene. So this is slightly wider. Now, this is the conundrum. This is the conundrum when you have somebody with a tall hat on like this. Is the hat important or is the person important? You have to make that decision. In this case, I don't think it's the freaking hat. I think you go wider and show more of them. I was gonna say you could come in tighter and do a horizontal shot of the face with the scarf. That would look really good, throwing them off rule of thirds in the composition, but it looks like they're holding a tray of teacups or something. This is where you go wider. Even if you need the back up with the 2.8 or whatever, what were you shooting with this one? D500, maybe you didn't have that 2.8 at the time. Back up, zoom into that 200, get a full body of them. That's gonna help compress the background, but they're holding stuff. Even if it's a quarter length body shot, we need to see more because we're cut off. We're like, what are they holding? Or go all the way tight and do both. So this is a fine picture. I hate the processing. I absolutely hate the processing. It doesn't give it the 17 to 55 2.8. Wow, that's a good lens. I had that lens back in the day as well. Vintage model shoot. I get you're trying to vintagey it with this glowy McLowerson edit, but it doesn't cut it. You want to go vintage, you go black and white in this case, or you go sepia and you start doing that type of thing. This one is okay as a picture, but I don't like the processing at all. Yeah, it's just like a basic snapshot. They look fine, but I don't like that processing. A steam train arrives in Mallow Railway Station, Cork, Ireland. Right, and how am I supposed to know that this is a steam train? Where's the steam train, right? Watch the tram car, please. Plus, it's not in focus. This is at 1/160th of a second, 55 millimeters, 250 ISO, out of focus, 6.3. Why the hell are we at 6.3? We have a 2.8 lens. There's no reason to be at 6.3 for this. So this should be at 2.8. which would then, we're at 6.3, let's just call it 5.6 to f4 to 2.8. So we'll start at 5.6, f4, 2.8, 2 stops of light. 1/160 goes to 1/320 goes to 1/640th at 250 ISO. So 1/640th with the proper focusing will help get this in focus. See, you look at these comments and they're like, very nicely done. And then, excellent photo. It's like, yeah, no, it's really not an excellent photo. See, this is the problem, and look, I'm not ripping on this person saying it's a shitty photo just to say it's a shitty photo. It's not a great photo, and I'm going to explain why. But this is why, and this is me plugging again, what a lot of people have said when they've done one-on-one mentorships is that they cannot get a straight answer or an honest opinion from their friends. Their friends will be like, this is a great shot, and you know it's not a great shot. And everybody like, this is so good, they kiss your ass. If you really want somebody to tell you honestly what they think of your work. And when I say honestly, it doesn't mean I'm just gonna rip you apart. A lot of people think that I'm gonna rip you apart. No, I'm finding the positives in your work, and if there's something that needs to be done better, I'm gonna explain it to you and base it off of what you're doing right, and here's how you can change it to make a better image, because it's about the positive reinforcement. It's not about tearing you down. It's about pointing out what may not work, but being honest and then telling you how you can get to that next step. That's why I offer these mentorships. I don't know why I'm yelling at you right now. I don't mean to be yelling at you, but this is why I offer those mentorships, so that you can get an honest opinion from someone like me. I know what I'm talking about, contrary to popular belief, but I'm gonna give it to you straight, where your friends are just gonna kiss your ass the whole time. So that's what I gotta say. What would be better here? Showing the steam train and also getting it in focus. Oh, and that's the last one. I went on a rant at the end, and that was the last one. I think these aren't bad. I think that they're pretty damn close with some of the tips and tips I suggested. I think we're gonna see a lot better portraits on the street. You're gonna tell that story better on the street. And your exposures are pretty damn good. Your processing is very good, except for that one photo that I hated. And your focus is good, except for the one photo where the focus was totally out and there's movement. So I think you did a pretty good job. If you'd like to submit your images, pay attention to my social media at Jared Polin on Instagram for when I put up the information on what to do, as well as on Facebook, because that's where I generally have you guys put your links for when I'm requesting this. You want that one-on-one mentorship or rapid fire critique, go to FroKnowsPhoto.com/mentorship. And when I say, look, how far am I into this video? I'm 17 minutes into this one, and it was only 10 photos. So generally speaking, the other ones, yeah, I put a 15-minute there for rapid fire critiques. I tend to go over because there's a lot to say. All right? So thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.